Surviving Reality contains explicit content full of snark and sarcasm that may not be suitable for all audiences. Listener discretion is advised.
Hello and welcome to Surviving Reality.
I'm Corey.
And I'm Carly, and this is The Traitors.
Season 4 of the US version, which dropped 3 episodes on the first night that it came to fruition here. So we decided to split it up into 3 separate episodes just for, if anybody's going back and watching these later on or anything. And if you're looking for like a cast overview or kind of the general notes things, that's actually in our episode 0 a couple episodes back in the feed. So make sure you check that out if you haven't already. That way you kind of have a general understanding of who all the players are and who's involved.
Get your lay of the land. There's 23 people here. So we're starting off with a lot.
23 and me. So it's going to be a whole thing. I mean, this was the first time that we did like a cast overview. Normally we just kind of drop in blind where we know the people that we know and then we learn about the people that we don't know anything about. Mm-hmm. But this one was a little bit different.
I think it helped.
I think it helped a lot. I mean, we don't go into it with too many preconceived notions because you're still not sure how people are going to play and then what situations they find themselves in. There's always adaptability when it comes to the Traitors. There's always unexpected twists and turns, and then you don't know what knee-jerk reaction, the decision-making process that's going to go into this.
So for those of you who have not joined us before for a Traitors recap, maybe you've never watched the show. General overview, the premise of the game. Everyone comes into the house as a faithful. The first night, Alan Cumming picks who the traitors are going to be. They are the only ones who know that they are traitors and are essentially working against everyone else in the house. And then the faithfuls, who are the remaining people on the show, need to work together to try to identify and vote out the traitors.
So the trick is that the traitors have a little bit of an advantage. They know who the other traitors are, and then they're murdering the faithfuls every night. So they're removing faithfuls from the game, and then every day there's a roundtable banishment that happens where everyone gets together, traitors and faithfuls, and then they all openly vote to remove someone from the house. So for the most part, that's the only way to remove a traitor from the game, unless they introduce something else this season that we don't know about yet. But there's always some other mechanic or something that's coming up. So it gets interesting.
Yeah, that's the other fun thing is that they usually deliver us a couple of twists.
They start off this season with a twist because we kind of had something similar. Not really, though, last season where they had Boston Rob just pop up and they said, "Hey, do you want Boston Rob to play with you?" And everybody was like, no, thanks. No, the answer is no. I don't
Keep him out of here.
I do not want Rob in this game with us. Absolutely not. So this time around, it was before they even enter the house. So now they don't all enter as faithfuls because Alan's going to pick one of the traitors outside here before we even go into the house. How is he going to do this? He's going to open up 23 boxes, one for every person, showing them individually in front of everyone else at the fountain here at the base of the stairs outside. And if there's nothing in the box, then you're still faithful. Don't worry about it. Don't overthink it now.
And one person's box is going to contain the traitor card. And that's how they will know that they have been picked as the secret traitor.
The trick here is that this is the secret traitor where not even the other traitors in the game will know the identity of this traitor.
They don't know that yet.
They don't know that yet.
They just know they're going to be a traitor.
Right. Yes. So this is a person who is a traitor. The other thing is that they don't reveal it to the audience because normally we, the viewing audience, are very aware of who the traitors are because we see them in the turret. We see them, choosing and who they're going to murder and the discussions that happen around that, or if they have these secret missions where things need to happen in the open without the faithfuls realizing that they're up to no good.
Yeah, so I really like this because one of the things we've talked about before was it would be so much fun if we could play along, because knowing who the traitors are, it's not like we're getting the full experience that the faithfuls are getting of being in the game.
How do you
simulate the experience?
Yeah, how do you do a broadcast version of not knowing who the traitors are at all, I don't know if you would be able to, or like if it would be as fun to watch if you had absolutely no idea who any of the traitors were. So I think this finds the kind of the middle ground, I suppose, for knowing some of the traitors, but then there's a secret traitor amongst the rest of the faithfuls. And then even the traitors don't know who the secret traitor is either. So that keeps things interesting here for the first few episodes, at least.
So he's calling them down one by one to come see what's in their box. And this, again, puts us in the position of trying to read people.
This is great because this also, just by doing this, you build in things for people to be suspicious about immediately.
Yeah.
Right out the gate.
That's the benefit for production.
That's the goal.
Yeah.
That's it. That's all it takes is just a little bit of something, because you already see it on display too. Usually what happens is in these larger groups of people, 23 people, you put them all into a house, the larger personalities are going to stand out. The people who are no filter, speaking their minds, saying things. Michael Rappaport is what I'm getting at here. Michael Rappaport is going to be prime candidate for everyone to assume he's a traitor, even though he is probably most definitely not a traitor. They're never going to pick him to be a traitor because he is such a bad faithful. He's just going to stay a faithful.
All right. I'm feeling good about our initial read about this.
Yes.
Because so far it's proving out the way that we talked about in the cast discussion, which was that he is going to be very opinionated, maybe not thinking so strategically before he speaks.
Yes.
And now even this, as they're going down and they're seeing whether or not they're the secret traitor, he's saying things to Alan. And the way that he's reacting, that he's just so excited to be here.
Yeah, he's like big smiling, like lumbering back to his spot in line. And everybody's like, that was weird. Does he smile this much often? Like, you notice things that you wouldn't normally clock about somebody's demeanor in these sorts of scenarios.
Right, because the game just completely changed for them. There were a few people that went on my radar after this.
Just from, okay, so not to say, like, there's nothing to base this off of, because this is so hard, and this is the whole point, right? Is that you are watching people react to finding out that they're a traitor in front of a group, or finding out that they're faithful. And then based on how they react, you interpret this as, oh, that was suspicious. Oh, it looks like they might have got the card. They might have seen something and reacted to it. Well, they could have seen that they were a faithful and reacted to that. But
like
now
maybe
you're
they
perceiving,
wanted to be a traitor. They ended up a faithful. They're disappointed or something.
So there's nothing that you can know out of any of this. This is all speculation. Needless to say, anybody's instincts in the game who say, oh, I think this something was off about that, you can't really base too much off of that. Having said that, we'll go ahead and do our analysis.
I was going to say, and I'm feeling extra paranoid because then I'm thinking there's the added layer of they're making a TV show.
Yeah.
And they want to keep the secret traitor a secret from the audience too.
Right.
So they're editing their reactions for us. We're not seeing everything that everyone else saw.
No, yeah, this is very, very coordinated as far as the delivery
I'm
here. I'm
questioning if they're trying to lead us in certain directions.
There's a few, there were a few that were on the radar. Well, for me, it was Yam Yam. So that was like just the reaction that was there. Also driving up in the cars, Yam Yam was telling people in the car, oh, I really hope I'm a faithful because that's the best way to win. But then immediately in the confessional right after that, he's like, I hope I'm a traitor. And so it's like, okay, well, you're already lying to people before the game even starts, technically.
Well, you can't tell people you want to be a traitor.
You can't tell people you want to be a traitor, so that'll make people suspicious. But the people who are openly vocal about wanting to be faithfuls, especially the gamers who are saying that they want to be faithfuls, I'm incredibly suspicious of.
Okay, he's on my list.
Yeah.
Also, Portia.
She was like messing with her hair, so I thought that was kind of like
she had like a physical reaction.
Yes.
Whereas most other people stood perfectly still.
Maybe a blink, maybe, kind of a sigh or something like that. Not as much of a physical reaction. So for Portia, that was, but again, is this just a trick of editing? Are they showing her when she first walks over there and she was moving her hair around? I don't know.
Probably had them stand there for a very long period of
time. They could have, it's like a Bachelor Rose ceremony situation.
Okay, that takes me to my third candidate, Colton Underwood.
Colton Underwood. Red flags here. Yeah, is what's coming out.
When he got back up to the stairs.
Yes.
I felt like he looked nervous. He's been making a couple of faces that they're sure to be showing us, where either he's just nervous to be here because he's never done something like this before, or he's got a reason to be a little more hesitant now.
A little more.
Than when he first got here.
Yeah, like he's apprehensive now.
Yeah.
You see it more, his reactions, because like at first didn't really see too much. I think we had on our first viewing, so when we watched on Thursday night in the watch party on the Discord, we watched the first episode and then we stopped watching. So still at the time of recording this, we have only seen the first episode, but we did rewatch it. So we've watched the first episode twice as of time of recording this episode. Does that make sense? Did I explain that?
Yeah, you said it a lot, but
said it twice,
we got there.
And yeah, we'll get there eventually. So the first time we watched it, I thought maybe Ian had a bit of a reaction too when he was seeing what was in his box. I wasn't sure if that was a pickup read of something there or if it was just an assessment of, his personality, trying to see these. You have to see how these people interact in the group dynamic too, of like what's going on.
Which we haven't gotten yet.
We haven't gotten yet at all. So now you're basing everything off an initial first impression reaction, and then you don't know how these people typically act anyway. So that was the other thing with Ron too. We saw kind of, his eyes lit up or like his eyebrows moved a little bit, and then he was telling Alan it made him scared that he had to poop a little and stuff, like those types of reactions. So like
making a joke.
Was that enough because he wasn't prepared to be a traitor and then he saw that he was a traitor? I think those were the initial reactions that we saw in the first view through. The second viewing, we were pretty locked in on probably like Colton or Yem Yem, I think.
I'm sticking with Yem Yem, Portia, Colton, and I'm adding Donna Kelsey.
Donna Kelsey.
She also kind of flinched when she got back to the stairs. Look, if she's covering this up, she's very good.
Okay.
But we don't know enough about her to really know how she's going to play this game.
Well, so the other reasoning why I was leaning towards Yem Yem was because there are the group setup of the traitors by the time we figure out everything of who's involved on the selected traitors as well. There was not a gamer on the selected traitors as part of Alan going around the room and tapping people on the shoulder. So that was my other reasoning too of, did they want to include a gamer as a traitor? And then that's who they picked for that?
I think that that's something that has been a problem with this show, that the people who are on it come in thinking that there's some strategy behind the groups of people who are cast.
Because there's not.
And then how they're selecting the traitors from them.
Yeah.
And I think that maybe they've realized they need to move away from that.
Right.
Because if everybody looks at it and goes, okay, there's 5 housewives. They picked a housewife. There's 5 gamers. There's got to be a gamer who's a traitor. This is the
Michael Rappaport theory that he voiced the moment that they entered the house, immediately calling suspicion everywhere onto him. So it was just like, dude, that was the type of thing where it was like, okay, if you're going to talk about the game that openly, if you're going to be talking about your theories in these ways, that still doesn't even make sense to say, oh, statistically, it could be one from each group. At least one gamer and at least one housewife.
I think production's still really upset about last season when Dorinda got murdered in the first episode.
That makes me think that they intentionally cast Michael Rappaport because he would be louder than Dorinda. They were like, who's going to speak out more than Dorinda? We can't have her get murdered on the first night again. So we need to have another lightning rod in here.
I feel like they thought that Dorinda was a home run for them casting-wise. And then they didn't even get to see her get started, which is why she's back.
Yes, obviously. Yeah, had to bring her back.
So now they all get to go into the castle, and we start to see them break off into groups and having conversations.
So this was where Colton was suspicious because there was a few things that were said. Oh, we're all in here thinking we're all faithful, but we could be talking to a traitor. Cut to Colton sweating bullets, like in that conversation on the couch. And then he's like, does anyone have any suspicions of anyone yet? So like, that was where it was kind of like, okay, that might be production lead of the editing of what's going on with it, steering in that direction. Or is it just because he's so nervous And then we're picking up on that now too. I don't know.
That added to it. And then we saw Monet and Jam Jam having a conversation
Yes.
together. I think Ron was on the couch too, but didn't say anything.
Yeah. And then like, or like got up
And
as
left
they
at some
started
point.
talking.
Yeah.
So it was like mostly between Monet and Yam Yam. And so the suspicious thing for me was when Monet was asking Yam Yam, hey, are you a traitor? I think she asked like directly like that. And then Yam Yam like rolled the eyes rolled back in the head and like, no, not making eye contact.
Trying to buy a second before responding.
So like that was suspicious to me too, especially knowing how big of a threat Yam Yam is. Yam Yam's a gamer. Yam Yam's one survivor, like with a landslide victory. So that is very suspicious. You know to steer things like that.
Well, I was just going to say, and then Jam Jam redirected the conversation
immediately
to talking about Donna Kelsey.
Right.
Because Donna's across the room talking to Portia.
So it goes to a very quick deflection, an immediate, well, not so immediate, kind of a delayed negating the claim of being a traitor and then immediately shifting to, I have suspicions about other people who could be a bigger threat. And so it's just like, that seemed a little suspicious. So I think that's why I still have, Colton and Yam Yam are at the top for me right now.
What do you think about Donna?
I think she's just kind of here for now. She is playing like a faithful. It's seeming like faithful. I feel like if she's going to be traitor, I feel like she would get recruited as a traitor.
That's what I'm thinking. Like maybe later in the game, because Dorinda said something later on in the challenge that was partially a joke about how everyone's going to be too afraid to vote Donna out because the Swifties will come after you.
Oh, that was on the stairs. That was when they were picking the secret traitor.
Oh, okay. So she already said it
before
they got in the
castle. She said that. She was nervous about... Well, I think Dorinda's very sensitive to anything that will get you murdered. Like... She has become acutely aware of that now. And so she's hypersensitive to this.
Not going to gun for Donna.
I don't want any enemies in the house at all. I'm not going to say anything.
But if she does have that on her side, that either people who are there are thinking, me as someone who has, fans or, relies on people supporting me in my career, do I want to alienate the Swifties? Or if they are a Swiftie themselves, are they maybe subconsciously not wanting to get rid of Donna? Plus, she has age on her side.
Yeah.
We've seen on this show that people tend to feel uncomfortable going after an older person.
Right. Yeah, I mean, there's like the biggest threat to a traitor in the game is banishment. So if you can have a traitor be unbanishable within the group because the group doesn't want to call this out or call attention to this at all of suspicions about them being a traitor because of how that will reflect on them outside of the game afterwards, then that traitor's going to go really far probably.
And I think that's the only way that Donna makes it to the end is if she gets recruited as a traitor towards the end, if she's not already one.
If she's not already, because we don't know.
Because she will be a faithful that will never be voted out. And the traitors get sensitive towards that towards the end, unless they're aligned with that person already.
Usually, if you're a faithful who everybody in the game knows nobody's going to banish them, those are the faithfuls that get murdered.
Yes.
So if you're not getting murdered later in the game, and then there's other things that are happening that's
a little sus.
Suspicious. That's very, very suspicious. So
in another room, there's a big group of people, and Portia is in there, and so is Michael Rappaport. And they're talking about housewives, because I don't know how many times within the first episode, Michael had to make it clear that he's a fan of the housewives.
Michael Rappaport's very big fan of the housewives. You also have to say Michael Rappaport. You can't just say Michael, because he refers to himself in the third person as full name Michael Rappaport multiple times too. So just so that we're all clear and that we don't mix up who we're talking about here, it's Michael Rappaport.
I think we know there's only one here. We have multiple Robs.
Yeah,
we're going to have
Robs.
To give you.
I feel like everybody's named Rob. Letter. Everybody is named Rob in this season. Rob and Ron that's what's going to mess me up too.
Same.
Oh my god!
I know that's going to end up being a problem.
Heads up on that. Disclaimer.
But Portia says, maybe you're a traitor, Michael.
And then they all laugh.
And that's where I was thinking, oh, okay, Portia, like that would be a great move if you're a traitor to
If you're a
like
secret
instantly
traitor.
just start,
Yeah.
pointing at somebody and be like, maybe you're the traitor.
Maybe it's you. Ha ha ha.
But he keeps putting heat on the housewives already, even though he's saying, I'm this big fan of the housewives. I'm practically
I have
the
a
sixth housewife here.
There's an inner housewife inside of me that's just dying to get out.
But
then
also,
why are you
it's
making
very
a target?
Yes. And also, it's very likely, in his opinion, that one of the traitors is going to be a housewife. At least one.
Well, then I would throw that in his face. I'd be like, oh, well, you said that you have an inner housewife, so maybe it's you. Is that you?
That's kind of what she was doing.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I've still got my eyes on the group that we mentioned earlier.
Okay, yeah. Suspicions. But now we're going into the actual selection, Alan's selection of the traitors.
And so he's going to walk around the table while everyone's blindfolded and tap you on the shoulder if you've been selected to play as a traitor.
Which we've stated several times. If we had to play this game, we would both be very confused at any slight brushing or passing. Because during production, while they're filming this, he goes around the table like 20 times.
Yeah.
And then he's always fidgeting and moving his arms around and like jingle jangling around people to make you think, oh, maybe that was the person that was sitting right next to me. But they have to do it enough times so then that way there's not immediate suspicion of, oh, he just grabbed somebody's arm.
Disorient everybody.
Yeah, so it's just confusing. It's a little misdirection.
I would think that he tapped me on the shoulder and then I just don't remember.
Either don't remember or he would mistakenly graze my shoulder and then I'd be like, that's it. I'm a traitor. Yeah, that's me. So I would take any sort of just breeze.
The AC starts blowing in the room and you're like, I got tapped on the shoulder.
That was me. That's me. I'm a traitor now. So it's like, I would have to confirm with production afterwards. And some of the ISO interviews, I'd be like, I'm a faithful, right? Like, or I'm going to wake up in the middle of the night and be like, oh my God, was I supposed to be in the turret? Because I didn't get that memo and nobody gave me my cloak and now I'm confused.
I'd really like the cloak. We let you take them home.
Oh, nice.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's a score. That's a win.
So the traitors that get chosen are Candace, Lisa, and Rob R. So we have 2 housewives and then Rob from Love Island.
And I think, like, looking at the people that they chose, I think it goes off personality-wise, like who can mesh well and where's the balance? Because Rob R. is very quiet, very reserved. He's being called out on this multiple times, too. Michael Rappaport was yelling at him about how, oh, dude, you're way too quiet. You're way too sexy and cute and good-looking, and then you're not saying anything. You're making me uncomfortable. And it's like, okay, well, if you talk to me, I'll talk to you, was basically his response.
He's a little
to that.
quiet and mysterious.
Yeah, so like he's very under the radar, which can be very suspicious as a faithful. So I do like his strategy where he was basically saying, okay, I'm going all in on the challenges then, because if I'm winning the group money as a faithful, that will mean that the traitors will want to keep me around. Mm-hmm. So that's my excuse for not getting murdered, basically. So, like, he's already thinking about cover for that, what his reasoning's going to be, how he's going to work around this. So I do like that he is thinking a couple steps ahead here.
I think he's presenting himself as though he's dumb.
Yep.
He's a little flighty. And that he's smarter than we were going to think.
Or kind of like Carolyn, like spacey, dippiness, but just like...
I'm a little lost. I don't really know what's going on at all times.
Yeah, I'm not clocking everything around me, but the stuff that I do focus in on, I can do good with that. But actually, it's the behind the scenes stuff that's going on. He's got a lot of things that he's thinking about. So that's going to be interesting.
The person who does need to start thinking about how they're going to explain themselves away is Lisa Rinna. She is overly confident about how she's going to do as a traitor.
I'm worried about Lisa because Lisa is giving Danielle vibes from last season where she thinks she's going to be the best traitor. She has the most experience, all these things that she can draw on from her life and her acting abilities and all these things. Okay, well, you can overplay this too. Like, that's the other problem here is that if you're too obvious and apparent, then that becomes an issue.
Well, she's also already kind of got a target on her back because she was one of the first names that started coming up.
And it was actually proposed by one of her fellow traitors, Candace, because Candace was selected as a traitor, and then in the group sessions, just like the hanging out, talking in between stuff that happens, she was throwing out, who do you think would be most capable? And she said, Lisa.
There was a lot of agreement on that, though.
There was a lot of agreement.
People are already thinking about her. It's not
True.
just Candace.
It's come up. And so, like, that was the consideration that Candace had. But again, going back to overplaying stuff, sometimes you don't need to... I mean, like, I see the benefit of this, of proposing a theory before she even knows herself who the traitors are, because obviously she knows that she's a traitor. She doesn't know who her fellow traitors are yet. So
you can't be accused then of having known that this other person was a traitor.
Right. Well, it's an easy way to say, this is who I suspect. And then if you're playing that as a faithful, where you had this suspicion about someone, well, now you know that you were right. So if you do kind of fan the flames on that a little bit, you can get people going in that direction pretty easily, and then that works in your favor.
Okay, a faithful who I think is going to have a hard time, Rob C. from Survivor.
Yeah.
When everyone pulled their blindfolds off, he was looking so paranoid.
So you don't think that he's the secret traitor? And he was trying to look around to find who the other traitors have been selected to be so he could get a read on that? I don't think so either. I think they knew damn well to keep him as a faithful because he's going to be again, a great game player, but this is not Survivor. This is not that game. You know how to play that game, and this is a very different game.
Traitors is interesting because if you come in right away and you go too hard on being strategic, people automatically think that there's something going on with you.
Yeah.
That's a red flag.
You know too much, and therefore you must be a traitor.
It's kind of like, well, I don't know if it's really the inverse of Survivor, but I think the social aspect of the game, at least for the first night or two, you need to lean into that and start to figure out what the vibe of the group is.
Yes.
And then you start to plan your strategy around it. You can't come in and start right away figuring out what your gameplay is and then try to make other people align to it.
Because Rob C., Podcast Rob, is basically talking about, I need to make my alliance with Natalie and with Tiffany, all these gamers I need to get in alignment with. Basically, the benefit to that is just a voting block. If you can establish a voting block where then a group of people is always going to go off the same unanimous decision, basically, of who they're going to vote for at banishment, there is value in that. But that puts a target on your back. If you are not a traitor and you are leading the faithfuls, you become shortlisted for murder.
Which we saw the gamers already trying to team up with each other.
Yes. So there's already been rumblings of that where they're needing to figure out who's sticking together and who's staying in. But yes, with Rob trying to read the room and see everybody, gauge everybody's reactions after taking off the blindfolds, he looked like a mess. And I don't think he realized that that was making him look very suspicious. He's like licking his lips and his eyes are darting around trying to get at all this information at one time. And it's like, dude, way too intense, way too much. You look guilty. You look like the cat that ate the canary.
Also, we've all watched this show and you know that people are looking for tells at the end of the roundtable. So why even bother? Like, I think a lot of people have realized that they just look down.
Yeah. Well, and even
don't look at other people. Just kind of like mind your own business. Listen to Alan.
Then that's suspicious too, because then you're all zoned out. You're checked out. You're thinking of all your different traitor strategies that you have to think of now too. So everything's just perception, and then based twisted in someone else's perception of what's going on.
Normal behavior.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. I just want to be looking left, right, left, right, left, right.
Licking my lips. Hands pressed on the table like I'm ready to just dart out of there. He looks like he's ready for a jailbreak.
You could have played it a little cooler than that.
Just chill, man.
I am wondering if we're going to see the alliances become a problem, where we're going to have the gamers working together, and then the other biggest voting block is the housewives. So do they start picking off housewives? Which has been the problem that has happened on this show season after season.
So they do have kind of a solution to that in the secret traitor. So we do find out about that as well. But not yet. We have the challenge first.
Well, first we had the traitors meet face to face.
Oh, they did meet. Oh, right, because it was at nighttime.
Before they went to the challenge.
Okay, yeah. So this was where they do meet in the turret for the first time. They take their traitor oath. Yeah, I swear to backstab and do all this stuff. Yeah, whatever. So give me the cloak, right? That's what it comes down to. Let me in the turret. Let me in. And so they get up there. They finally are revealed to each other, but it's only the three of them. And then they're realizing quickly, oh, did you get the traitor card in your box? Were you the one that was selected outside? No, none of them in the turret were the ones who were secretly picked. So then Alan comes in to explain, yes, you might realize now the secret traitor is not amongst you. They're still in the game, and you guys won't even know who the secret traitor is until the time comes.
So I like this because not only is it something for us to play along with, but it also impacts their strategy.
Yes, because we immediately thought, how the hell does that work? Because the traitors have to unanimously decide who they're going to murder. How can you have someone who's not involved in the decision make that decision? Plus, if that other person, like if they try to put up the secret traitor up for murder and then they walk in at breakfast the next morning, how does that work? Because you can't murder another traitor. Well, let me explain it to you. The secret traitor gets to pick the short list of who's eligible for murder, and then the three known traitors will then pick from that list, and then that's who's decided to be murdered.
I like this because it's going to avoid, like you're alluding to with the Housewives last season, where we had Bob the drag queen say, hey, let's start picking housewives off right away. That'll be our strategy. Or sometimes when they decide, like, well, let's just murder someone random to kind of confuse everybody.
Right.
This is going to be a lot harder when they're down to, 3 to 5 people to choose from?
This makes it incredibly difficult because, normally, especially on the first night, which that's the other catch, too, is that the traitors aren't murdering tonight. So they're just learning that there is a fourth traitor in the game. You don't know who that is. See you tomorrow, I guess. So that's what they're being left with. The result of that being the power dynamic for the traitors. It was open season on the first night. Usually you have 20 people to pick from, and that is not the case now. You're finding out that your options are going to be severely limited.
So now we go to the first challenge, where there are 3 separate boats. They're divided into 3 teams. They have to go out on the lock and retrieve a casket. There are a lot of caskets out there.
100 caskets.
Some of them have an X on them. Some of them have a $sign. They obviously want the ones with the $sign on them. They have to tow them back to shore, and those caskets are then going to be worth money for the prize pot. That's all they know.
That's what they know going into
at the start of the challenge.
Well, the other tricky spot is there are 3 boats, but they have to divide themselves into teams, which that alone would take me 40 minutes, probably.
Same.
So challenge is pretty much over, unless I'm just jumping in a boat and I'm like, all right, I'll start rowing. But that would be difficult.
I would end up on the worst team.
Probably.
I'd end up in the white boat.
Probably. The white boat was definitely the worst boat.
Yes.
Definitely.
Which we figured out there were no gamers on that boat.
That's the problem. Mm-hmm. That's the problem right there. You do not have strategic mindset going into this. And so everybody's just kind of loosey-goosey, willy-nilly, trying to figure it out as they go along, and it's not really working out. So the catch here, though, that people are realizing, so the red boat was off to the races. They're out of here. They're miles ahead of everyone else. So they're already grabbing
professionals.
They're already grabbing these coffins, towing them over to the graveyard.
The other boats are still stuck ashore.
They're still run aground. Yeah, they haven't got into the water yet, and they're already dropping off at the graveyard. The red team is. So the red team realizes there's a sign outside the graveyard as they're lugging the coffin up. I keep almost saying casket, but there's a difference. These are coffins.
Okay.
These are coffins.
They were using them interchangeably.
I know, it's not the same thing.
All right.
So these are coffins, and as they're lugging the coffin up to the graveyard, they read the sign that says anybody, all of these headstones here and the places where you can drop the coffins, it's names of the players in the game. So if your headstone has a coffin in it at the end of the challenge, yes, you have banked the money, but you are up for murder tonight. So that becomes the risk here.
You don't want a coffin in your grave.
You don't want a coffin in your grave, but you want the money coffins in the graves. Here's the way I would mess this challenge up. So I told you there's a twist because, of course, I'm going to think of the most demented way to play this game, right? They didn't specify that you could only bank the money $ ones. People were saying, oh, that has an X on it. That has no value. I'm leaving it in the lock. You could bring a coffin that has an X on it and put it in someone's headstone. Okay. You could bury them.
This is why they don't want neurodivergent people on these shows.
This is why I'm not allowed to play these games.
You're going to have to
Production
give us more
would be
instruction. Well, we were also saying, can you pick a coffin up and move it into another grave?
That was my other thing, was if you see, could you just cause chaos by, if someone comes and brings a coffin and drops it into one of the graves, could you then move that coffin into another grave, and then you're just shuffling stuff around until time runs out? Like, that could be a whole concept in and of itself of just messing with this.
Alan would be exhausted explaining the instructions by the time they were done telling you how to play
I would
this.
read it 3 times and I'd say, oh, it's just a coffin. A coffin needs to be in there, so you can put any of those. I'm going to grab all of them. So everybody's grave gets a coffin in it, and it's nice and fair and even. You guys go look for the money. I'm going to make sure it's all nice and fair and even here, though. So that's how I'd play it.
Rob C is getting frustrated because
he didn't get a chance to think of stuff like this.
No, he has a lot of questions. He's trying to think strategically about this, and with the within the confines of how the challenge is being played as we see it. He's like, why are we not having a discussion about whose grave we're putting coffins in? People are just throwing things into whatever's in front of them, and that's making us miss the opportunity to make a better decision, possibly.
A strategic play. Yeah, there's no strategic play. This is just doing the task, put the thing in the thing, and keep going. What drove me nuts is because you have the white boat team where they were already struggling. It took them probably 35 minutes to find a casket with a $sign on it. So while the other teams have done like 2 each, they finally roll up with their first one. They're figuring out how to play. They're reading the sign for the first time. They're getting the twist. It's all making sense finally of what they're here to do today. And so then they're like setting down the coffin in a grave, and then, oh no, move it. Oh, why are we putting it in this one? No, put it in that one. They're arguing amongst each other. Why weren't you guys talking about this the whole time you're in the boat?
Well,
You've been out there.
They didn't know until they saw the sign.
Right. For the white boat, we'll grant them a pass.
Yeah.
The red boat has returned. This is like their 3rd time. They're standing there holding the coffin, looking around of which one are we going to put it in. Why didn't you decide that before?
You had so much time while you're out on the water to say, okay, maybe who are 3 names that we want to say we'll potentially put it in. And if we see one that's open when we get up there, that's where
it's going.
That way you're cutting down on it, because it is speed versus strategy, but can you make it a little bit more strategic while still going quickly?
Yeah. So like then we have like boat alliances that are being made and broken because the red boat and the green boat, they're teaming
boats.
Up. The what?
Gamer boats.
The gamer boats. Yes. So they're both making allegiances to each other and then immediately breaking them and trying to partner with the white team when they finally roll up. So like they're trying to influence which coffins are being placed into which graves, essentially, because basically whoever brings the coffin up from the boat, then they're not putting it in any of their graves. They're doing it from the other boats. So when red and green teamed up and they said, well, let's just pick players from the white boat, and that's where you drop your coffins then. So people were taking it very personally. Michael Rappaport, somebody had to go out of their way to go put a coffin in his grave.
They're like not realizing, they're putting together the pieces that it's mostly the people who are on their boat.
It's because it's your boat. Yeah. It's your boat.
The other teams have formed an alliance.
But then they're already flip-flopping because then if the white team's there, then they're basically doing the same deal with them. So like they're all over the place.
This really is a speed challenge at the end of the day because the more coffins you get placed in the graves, the more people are up for murder. And then that at least reduces your likelihood of being the person who gets murdered.
Or if you break it the way that I thought of too, of just, everybody gets a coffin. You get a coffin. You get a coffin. You get a coffin. That's the only way it's fair then.
Okay. We don't know if that's okay by the rules.
It just said coffin. It didn't say that it needed to have a $sign on that coffin in order to count. It just said I think that they leave the rules ambiguous in some ways like that so that you can do things like this. If I were to have suggested that, though, to say, well, it's only fair if we round up a bunch more of these useless coffins and then bring them back and fill up everybody's graves. That's fair.
People
would say you're a traitor.
Push back. Yeah.
People would say, you're a traitor.
Do you get your pick of everyone that you can murder
No,
tonight?
because it's fair. It reduces the risk of murder for everyone.
I don't think that'd play well with people. I know. Because they don't want to put something in their own grave.
I wouldn't be able to explain it in that quick of a time period there.
They get 9 of 10 caskets in there.
And I think the reason why they did this was they just wanted to prove to us that the countdown clock is real. Yes, because we've often assumed that it is not real.
We've talked a lot of shit about that.
Because it's always the last 3 seconds when
they miraculously finish.
They pulled it off. And then this time, you just missed it.
So they end up with $22,500 for the prize pot.
And there was one more coffin that was they tried to throw it was Portia's grave, but that one didn't count. It wasn't in time when the horn blew, so that doesn't count. But then that doesn't mean that Portia's not going to take that personally because she's like, what the heck? They were targeting me. They went out of their way. This is how the mentality works on this game. What? They were trying to throw that coffin into my grave specifically? Yes, because yours was right there. It was the closest one. This is a time issue. They were literally
out of time and it was right in front of them.
She still takes it very personal that, oh my God, why would they come after me of all people?
The 9 people who are up for murder are Ron, Rob R., who's a traitor, Donna, Eric, Michael, Ian, Dorinda, Rob C., and Mark.
And Mark was basically calling out how he was like, woof. You guys really had to work for this one because he was all the way in the back row, furthest corner away from where you had to bring the coffins up. So somebody really went out of their way to make sure that they put one over in his grave there.
Their punishment is that they have to hang around and fill in their graves while everybody else gets to go back to eat. So this is like the first challenge last season where then Dorinda immediately alienated everyone for making them feel bad for the fact that they ate everything from craft services while they were still back at the challenge. That was the
problem. Okay, so maybe they made sure to order double or they did like a staggered serving this time or something because we didn't hear Dorinda get that upset about it this time.
No, she learned her lesson.
She learned. Michael hasn't. Michael Rappaport hasn't because, he's still popping off with all sorts of stuff. But I think that's why they cast him. It's so that somebody else can go before Dorinda.
I'm like, God, we have to talk about him so much more still because he's involved in everything.
He's all over the place.
So they're all traveling back to the castle, everybody who's not up for murder. And Candace, who is a traitor, decides that she's going to plant a little something while she's in the car.
Why?
I don't know. She didn't need to.
Why on earth do you think that Michael Rappaport needs more attention on him and suspicion? Why? He already is doing that on his own. Let it happen.
I think she's overthinking the fact that he's talking about the housewives a lot. So she wants to ensure that he gets voted out first.
Right.
So she says, Portia's in the car.
Portia and Mara.
And Mara are in the car with her. And she says, Michael was the one who was leading the charge on putting the coffin into your grave. He was targeting all the housewives.
Yeah, he said to whatever coffin they brought up, it was like, put it in a housewives, put it in a housewives. And Portia's like, oh my gosh. So like, that's why she's realizing, I was targeted as part of this. So she's getting all fired up. She's getting worked up over this. Mara can't believe it.
Well, because
She's
it
like,
doesn't
wow.
make sense, because he's been trying to like align himself with the housewives
Right.
to everybody in the group. And now she's hearing that at the challenge, he's trying to go after housewives and
Right.
put them up for murder.
So that doesn't make sense. That's not tracking at all. So this comes up in conversation back at the house where Portia's confronting Michael Rappaport, and he has to immediately dispute, no, that wasn't said. And actually, Ron corroborates, no, he didn't say that. Like, that wasn't part of when we were bringing the coffins up. That was not the suggestion that was being made. So I don't know where you heard that from or who you heard that from, but maybe we should go have a conversation about that. So that's when Portia leads everyone to the kitchen, who's following in tow because they know a fight's coming here, because we got to go talk to Candace.
Is amiss. Something weird is happening here.
So we're going to ask Candace about it. And then Candace has to play it off as, oh, I think you misunderstood. I think you misheard me.
You misheard what I said. I
said something that he had mentioned stuff about housewives yesterday, not today.
She didn't even think of how she was going to get out of this.
No. So to immediately, like, if you're not keeping track of your lies, if you're just lying about stuff, and then you have to lie on top of those lies, you're out of control. That's not going to last.
The best part is now this is like Portia's word versus Candace's word.
Right.
As far as like, you didn't hear me correctly.
There was another person in the car, kind of, technically, supposedly.
they turned to Mara.
All eyes on Mara, and she's like, I don't recall. But then
She's testifying in front of Congress all of a sudden.
But then also, to be fair, she explains too, honestly, like, from the challenge, I don't even remember what team I was on. Like, I don't remember things. So it's like, okay,
that's not good.
That's not good for this game, babe. Like, yeah, you're going to be struggling then. You need to work on that, and you need to remember what people say.
That's Candace's saving grace. That she did not pile on.
It is a miracle.
Say, that is what you said.
Because if Ron was in that car, he would have said, that's not what you said. And so now you're caught publicly lying. That would have been big heat. So she really, really lucked out. Suspicion leads to, is Mara a secret traitor? Is she covering for Candace? Because she knew that Candace was lying in the car? And so now she's protecting her. I would love her to
be a traitor.
I wanted her to be a traitor so bad.
I would be very excited if she ended up being.
I had her at the
traitor.
top of our bracketology list because I was assuming she would be selected as a traitor. But now finding out that she does not remember things at all, she cannot attribute quotes to people. She cannot hold people to task. Unless she's playing dumb.
Like, if she is the secret traitor, is production in on it?
Yeah.
And so she can't say, well, I'm thinking maybe she's the traitor and I'm working with the traitors. So
she just wants to stay out of it. She doesn't want to get caught in the middle. She doesn't want to be seen as a threat on either side of, putting someone in the middle like that. So there's some suspicion there too.
You would think that this would turn attention towards Candace.
You would think.
But instead, because the group has already been thinking things about Michael, it kind of reinforces to them that perhaps Michael's the traitor. And the only person who's thinking about this logically enough to see through that is Rob C.
I love that the general assessment was, it's either that Michael Rappaport is a really bad faithful or he's a really bad traitor.
Doesn't that just tell you that you should get rid of him?
Yeah, like,
because he's not going to be valuable on either side.
You cannot trust him either. Yeah, so it's just like, that has made it confusing enough now where I think Candace is going to be able to weasel her way out of this and avoid it, but I don't think she got out of it completely unscathed. I think some of the craftier players recognized that, made note of that, and they're going to remember that.
That's her second fumble.
Not good.
If you count throwing a name out at the very beginning.
Which honestly, like, could that be a good play? Technically, yes, because I like her mentality of when you're with the faithfuls, you have to play like a faithful. I do agree with that. So you do have to propose theories. You have to voice your suspicions.
I just wonder if the fact that there's now suspicion on her as being a traitor, that, again, the savvier people are going to think, oh, she threw out Lisa's name. Everyone was already kind of thinking that Lisa could be a traitor.
Right.
That they might easily pick off two of them.
Yeah, that could be a real possibility here.
So the traitors go up to the turret for their first meeting because they're going to murder somebody tonight. And they're given the short list from the secret traitor.
And it's a short list of a short list. Because remember, as part of the challenge, there was only 9 people who are up for murder tonight. So the secret traitor selected from that list 4 names. And now our 3 known traitors have to decide from those 4 people that have been proposed here. That's the only choice that you have now.
So the 4 who are up for murder are Rob R.,
who is a traitor, so that is one of the problems of being a secret traitor. You don't know who you're working with.
Now you only have 3 to pick from.
Now you have 3 options.
Ian, Mark, or Eric.
Oh man, this is going to be so hard. And I had Mark and Eric up at the top of our bracketology list because I thought that they would be like not threatening, not big personality people. I thought Ian, I had it towards the bottom of our list because I didn't think that he was going to play like into, there was a few conversations that he had initially where I was like, oh, is that going to read as guilty? Is that going to read as suspicious?
I think if you're the traitors and you're going to play this strategically, who's the biggest threat out of those 3 people?
It's Ian.
The gamer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is what it comes
That's
down
who
to.
I would get rid of.
So that's, I mean, strategically, that would make the most sense. So I guess we'll see what happens because we don't know who they're going to pick yet. Who's going to walk into breakfast tomorrow?
But they're starting to think about who could the secret traitor be based on the handwriting that's on the letter and then also the people that were put on the short list.
Jam Jam and Colton were 2 of the names that they threw out at the end of the episode too as people who they suspect might be the secret traitor as well. So don't know when that's going to be revealed, but I guess we'll find out.
If you want to play along with us, you can join our Bracketology League. Just check out the link in our bio to join.
And if you're listening, we'll be dropping episodes 2 and 3 right after this one here. So stay tuned for more, and we'll see you on the next one.
Thanks for listening. See you next time.